and Gary is recovering from, we hope, a very brief illness. He felt so bad that he could not come. He did not pull the plug till Monday, kept hoping that he'd feel better. He is gonna come back though, because he worked for the Commercial Hill 30-some years, and oh, does he have a story to tell about what's happening to newspapers. But Gary is active in SCORE and friends with Jim, and Jim stepped in at the last moment. We are so appreciative that we still get to hear about SCORE. And you know, sometimes when I get these bios, they're double-sided. We have a humble man here. I'm sure he could have filled several pages, but I'm just gonna read this very simple, humble bio. Our speaker today is Jim Frommel, retired Director of Business Affairs with WMC-TV, AM, FM, completing a 40-year career with Scripps Howard Broadcasting Company. Pretty impressive. Later worked in financial services industry with 2 Memphis area firms, past president and current board member at Theater Memphis, SCORE mentor for 20 years. Ooh. We're eager to hear your story.
All right, Jim, welcome.
It's, I'm not sure I need this. Everyone can hear me.
Sure, yeah, we can hear it, yeah.
I'll just put this down and turn it off. If I know how. Just push the button.
Pull it down.
There you go.
Thank you for letting me fill in this morning, and I regret that that it's because Gary Robinson's illness, which he's getting better. I had an email from him this morning, but I was reminded, it's been about 2 years since I've been here last, but I was reminded when I heard everyone get up with the energy here in this room this morning, and it got me started too. But I had to bring this with me because as I had to go down yesterday to the SCORE office to get some materials, that some of the brochures and things that are out, and I grabbed something to put them in, and so as I left, they said, "What are you, Santa Claus tomorrow with a red bag?" And I said, "Well, and I realized it's a Google bag that somebody left there, and I picked up." But everyone should have in front of you there a copy of one of our brochures. And I want to emphasize that SCORE Memphis can help your business grow and thrive, and that's the thing that we really promote. SCORE is the nation's largest network of expert business mentors with something over, I think 10,000 was the last count. It changes obviously because we've got 300 offices around the country. Memphis was one of the first chapters in the country. We're number 68. SCORE has been in existence for 54 years. 54 years, and we were one of the early chapters. We're a volunteer organization. We're located in the Clark Tower, our office here. And the best thing we do, I believe, is to deliver face-to-face mentoring, counseling with business owners that are already in business or with folks who want to start a business. And the great thing with technology, you know, 20 years ago when I came in, back in the old days as I refer to it, if you wanted to initiate mentoring with SCORE, counseling as we referred to it then, but mentoring I think gives the ongoing relationship which we really promote. But back then, if you wanted to get a SCORE mentor, you'd call the office, we'd mail you a form to fill out. That'd take a couple, 3 days maybe. Then you'd have to fill the form out, you'd mail it back. That'd take another 3 days. And then a mentor counselor would be assigned to work with you, and that maybe take 4 days. So a couple of weeks would go by. Well, now you can go right to the website, the SCORE website, and you fill it out right on the website. You hit the button, submit. It goes in the next morning. That will be assigned to a mentor, and that mentor should be in touch with you no later than, let's say, the 3rd day, to set up a meeting or make arrangements to get more information, whatever. But technology, as in your businesses, I know, has made such a difference in being able to get in touch and get in contact with the client, as we call the folks that come to us for mentoring, to get some action taken on that. And that's so important. But in addition, the technology allows SCORE to have available webinars that are live, that you can actually participate in live, or are archived once that webinar takes place. So if it's 2 in the morning, and that's the time you have to understand how to do a business plan, you can go on SCORE. You can pull up that business plan presentation, which most of them are probably 90 minutes, and you can sit there at 2 in the morning and you can learn how to prepare a business plan, or how to use social media, or any one of 150 or more topics that are related to running a small business. And on the table, and it's probably not the best place, on the counter, I should say, going out there, I put some copies. I'm not sure I have enough, but if we could pass those out, that'd be helpful. The workshops generally are at the Germantown Library, or at the main library, the Benjamin Hooks Library on Poplar. They're usually on a Monday evening at Germantown or Thursday evening at the main library, and they again cover a number of topics, and they're coming around now. But one thing that's on that schedule that I do want you to note is that October the 16th at the Great Hall in Germantown, we're going to have what we call a small business boot camp. Now, all of the topics haven't been put in place yet, but the last time we did this, we had a total sellout there, and it'll be a great program with a lot of events. And this year, what's going to make it special is that Ken Yancey, who is the really outstanding CEO of SCORE in Washington, had already scheduled to be the speaker at the Germantown Chamber at the luncheon that day. And we're going to be just across the way, so to speak, at the Great Hall. And he's going to be over there either in the morning or afternoon session, we're not sure, but he's a great speaker. He'll do a great job. So please put that on your calendar. There'll be more information when that program is complete and put together. It'll be on our website, but you can also check out the other workshops that we do. The interesting thing, and today I know we have some nonprofits here, but a lot of folks are not aware that SCORE works with nonprofits. Now that activity has really picked up in, I'd say, the last 10 years. And I'm now working with 3 different nonprofits in the city. One of them's been around a long time. And so I just throw that out for the nonprofits that are here, as you might have needs, whether it be social media, whatever. Please keep SCORE in mind for that kind of measurement too. The great thing about SCORE is we do the face-to-face counseling, but we're really using the technology, video conferencing now, to do mentoring by video conferencing, and that's growing, and I think that's going to be, from here into the future, is going to be a growing way to do it. I brought, and Lynn and Joe, I think, both touched on volunteering in school, and that's another important aspect of it. I have just a few of those brochures, but it's something we can talk about. A SCORE mentor, first thing, goes through an introductory program so that they understand what's expected of them. And among the things that are important to know about SCORE, and as far as being a SCORE volunteer, is that every year we sign a code of ethics that says, number 1, any contact we have with a client is confidential. That's why I mentioned I'm working with some nonprofits, but I would not divulge those names to you. And that's true with a for-profit because you can understand that if you become a SCORE volunteer, you're going to be in contact with a lot of small businesses. So if you had a business, which you certainly could, that'd be a great opportunity to market. But the second part of that code of ethics said that as a SCORE volunteer, you understand that there's no way that you can personally benefit financially from that relationship. And if you violate that, you're immediately out of SCORE. Fortunately, most all SCORE mentors observe that condition. So those are important things about the code of ethics that we all re-sign every year to understand. But we hope that that maybe some of you, if you have some available time, and by the way, volunteering with SCORE can be, it doesn't have to be mentoring, because we have some folks that'll come in and they'll say, look, I'm not sure that I really want to do the mentoring, but I'd be glad to be a presenter for some of the workshops. So these are ways that, or I'd be glad to come in and maybe help in recruiting. So these are ways that volunteers can actually serve without necessarily becoming a mentor. And
Jim, on the volunteer side, how often does that take place when the average volunteer once a week? Can you give us an idea as to what it takes?
yeah, the volunteer and the client pretty much set the frequency of meetings or contacts. For instance, I'm working with, mentioned the 3 nonprofits now. I'm probably meeting now about once a month with a nonprofit. We'll communicate by email, we'll exchange information by email, or we'll talk on the phone. So the volunteer, the mentor, and the client really pretty much set the frequency of the contacts that are needed. In the early stage, where let's say we're looking at a business plan for the client, going over that to prepare for that first or second meeting, there may be a greater frequency of meetings or contacts with the client in those early months than there are later. I've got some clients that I'm working with, I've worked with for, let's see, the oldest one maybe is 5 years. That maybe is 3 or 4 times a year. We'll sort of do a follow-up. I'll go to their office, or they'll come to our office in the Clark Talk. Sometimes we'll meet at a Starbucks. I mean, it's interesting how you work for the convenience, certainly of the client and the SCORE mentor, but the frequency is pretty much dictated by what the client needs and what opportunities there are to get together. So it's not a hard and fast kind of thing. Has really grown in having materials available on the website that are very helpful to the client. And what I try to do is, where there is information that's readily available for that client's business, is to connect them, is to send them a link to a website. Particularly on nonprofits, there's a great deal of the nonprofit organizations that are out there that have material that's available to help a nonprofit put together a budget, put together a business plan. Is amazing. And so we'll take advantage of those. A couple things too that and when I mentioned, I'm kind of backtracking here. There's a resource guide. Those have been passed out. Okay, great. And one here that's especially good, and I only brought a few copies, but there's a web link for anyone that didn't get a copy of this, that would like to have a copy. I can give them that web link. This is a great guide on hiring your first employee. It's put out by an organization that SCORE partners with, Comply Right. But it is an outstanding guide on interviewing prospective employees, and from gathering that information, pre-screening candidate. It's just excellent, and I wish I had enough copies, but I didn't. But I call that to your attention, because this is a very Interestingly, and I'm bouncing around here now, interestingly enough, on our schedule of workshops is one we've done more frequently. I think we've got three times this year we're doing it on intellectual property. We have a great attorney who works in the intellectual property, copyrights, patents. And we've had increasing attendance at these programs. So this is kind of a new area that, at least in Memphis, that we've gotten a greater amount of interest in from folks that are suggesting to us what kind of information they have to hear. And I call that, generally the workshops cover, ADP comes in and does a workshop on paper processing. And I, in my experience with working with small business owners, and maybe many of you here today, use an outside payroll processing service. But the one thing that I found is so many small business owners, particularly those that are maybe just husband-wife owned business, the payroll sometimes doesn't get processed as quickly as it should, and the taxes aren't sent to the federal government as quickly as, and consequently, the penalties and interest can almost pay, if you're assessed with those, can almost pay the cost of using a payroll processing service. And there's, you know, most of the banks today, and maybe some of you use the banks here in Memphis, have great payroll processing. So my point in touching on that is there are times when, and save yourself the headaches of the penalties that go with failure to remit taxes, as well as the time in doing the work. We're looking at doing, I mentioned the boot camp that will be October the 16th. This will be the second one we've done this year, and what we're thinking of in next year, planning for those programs, is to do one each quarter. Because we found that getting folks together for a full day where they can, certainly you can understand this in your businesses, it's not always easy to be gone for the good part of a full day. So if you can look at that on the account, that makes it a lot easier. And the question and answer periods with the presenters has really been great on those. So we're looking at doing those at least once a quarter. Any questions from anyone? I kind of rambled here.
Just a comment, looking at the calendar, this is so cool, and I see Dr. Janet Cherry, who was the speaker here a couple weeks ago.
That's
is
right.
on the agenda, and now, I mean, there are people here, we recognize the names. It's really to people's volunteerism.
Yeah, let me throw that out. Arun Kuntha is our chairperson for education. He has done a tremendous job in organizing these. But he, in SCORE, looked for opportunities to partner, and maybe some of you in the room here today would think about this, to partner in doing a workshop on a particular subject. Because as you mentioned, NABO, and there's, I think ADP is on there, Paychecks has done, I know I'm trying to go from memory, and that's not always but we look for opportunities to partner with presenters who might have, yes.
Everett Burton is on here for bookkeeping and taxes and QuickBooks. He is excellent. He actually mentored and helped me get Talk Shop converted over to QuickBooks. I know the advertisers are very happy that it's now, they can pay them with their credit card. Thank you, Christopher Buellman, also for their thing.
He is great. He knows QuickBooks front, and I mean, when his sessions end, the people are still standing around waiting to get to him after the presentation's over. He's accurate.
And he can do it online too. He can do a screen share with y'all.
That's right.
You mentioned that you have to swear that you will not profit from your association.
That's right.
So if someone is mentoring or helping a business person and they decide they would like to buy a house, take a trip, get insurance, whatever, and because you've developed a relationship, they would like to come to you, do you have to tell them no, you have to go somewhere else?
There's a fine line there. Basically, I'd say yes to that, to make it easy, because it gets a little complicated going around. We have had situations, not in the Memphis chapter, but I'm aware of other chapters, where someone has developed that relationship and the client said, look, I would like to hire you to work in an advisory capacity with me on a regular basis. And that mentor will decide to leave school. They'll, in other words, submit or say, look, this is an opportunity for me to be gainfully employed or have an income, and I like what this business is doing, and that would take place. But basically, if there's too many exceptions, then it just opens the door and complicates the lives, really, of the folks.
I think most of us would not have a problem referring the business to someone else, but I just wondered.
No, I understand, and that's a good question, and that comes up. That comes up from time to time.
I had a question regarding employees versus subcontractors. Can outside salespeople be classified as subcontractors? What are the rules with that?
You know, I passed out, and maybe you didn't get a copy. There's a publication that I brought with me, but not enough copies again.
Is it this one?
There's one on independent contractors. That's it. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Do you have a copy of that?
I got it now.
Okay. Good. I'm sorry, I don't think I had enough copies for everyone. That's always a fuzzy area, and I have to tell you, let me give you an example. Have I got enough time here? A little bit more time?
Yes, 3 minutes.
Oh.
Talk.
No pressure, Jim.
3 years ago, I'm at the store office. A man walks in very depressed. He said, I've got trouble with IRS. He had a security business, very successful, had about 40 employees. One of his employees was hurt on the job, went to file a workers' comp claim, and they said, you're not covered under workers' comp. So this employee, who thought he was an employee, went to the federal government. IRS came in, they said, wait a minute, you've employed these people, you haven't withheld any taxes. So he said, what can I do? The IRS is here. I said, you know what, you don't need school, you need a good attorney. But call me, because I'd like to know how this comes out. So about 6 months went by. He said, he got an attorney, got a good attorney, and there's a good attorney here. Probably. He said this, basically, the attorney went to IRS and threw himself on the mercy. I didn't know there was any mercy. IRS basically said, look, if you begin withholding these taxes right now, and they settled for some very small amount for activity. Okay. So, but there was a case where he considered all of them, he treated them as independent contractors. They weren't, because he directed their work, it scheduled their hours. I mean, so it was a clear matter of they were employees of his. So I'd say that's an area that you certainly want to make sure that you're on. So IRS may never catch up with it. I mean, probably in many cases, small business, it's not detected, but it's one of those where if it happens, you could have a problem.
Just a quick comment on that. That is the crux of a huge lawsuit with Allstate, American Family, State Farm, Farmers, and UPS on whether these large corporations truly have employees or contractors.
Yeah.
And it's not resolved yet.
Yeah,
So
That's complicated.
Yeah.
I know of another sign company that I've been told has all their salespeople as subcontractors. And I've never thought of doing that before, but I just wondered
Yeah.
if that's even kosher.
Well, I think it's one of those areas. that
This sounds
certainly
like it's,
You want to be careful. As I said, you may never, IRS may never catch up with you. I didn't do that like part of it. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today, and as I say,
Thank you, Jim.
I regret, but Gary will be back and he'll enjoy what he has to say about the newspaper, because he was there for a good number of years. And, we're glad we have him. He's a rising star. He's our vice chair, and he's going to be chair-elect for next year, so we're delighted to have him.
Score on volunteers.
It is. The only paid staff at the store are the headquarters in Herman, Virginia, which is a suburb of Washington. And, but every chapter is totally volunteer. There are no paid chapter members.
Well, Jim, I thought it was an excellent presentation, and thank you. Get the ball stopped, you saw this volunteer that takes place here, whether it's Anna or there, working the family Christian center.